How we doing, guys? Welcome to Electrified Marina's podcast. I don't know what number this is. This fell off the radar. We've been slammed for all the right reasons. Stupid busy, but we want to take advantage. We had Sam from Taiga coming into town. I really appreciate you stopping by, man. It's nice to see our showroom. Just moved in. Actually, I need to do some updates. So anybody that's been following us, we've been growing. Just hired employee number 10. Got a nice, pretty showroom here. Had the grand opening a month ago. We are in the middle of peak season right now. I'm looking at a yard full of boats and skis, and we are processing this stuff as fast as we can. My team is working ridiculous hours right now, but it's all the good pain points. It's super exciting. But Sam reached out. He was passing through town, and we want to take the opportunity and shoot a podcast. But I'm glad you're here, man. Thanks so much.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's great to see all the work you guys have put in. The shop, I think it was that 4 or 5 years ago we met and you were talking about this as a concept and you made it happen. I think, awesome to see all these different electric boat brands coming up, really starting to move the market.
It is, man. And it's, I was just looking at my notes, you guys have been doing this 10 years. For that, just in any industry is a long time, but the electric boat industry, that is in the infancy. There hasn't been many people, that are still here today to talk about it, but you guys are still powering through, selling, delivering units. This is exciting. And right now, you guys don't have competition. It's kind of crazy. We were talking about that a minute ago, man.
Yeah, I think that surprised us. We saw the opportunity to really start trying to build this EV space. We like to say with Taiga beyond the road. We were inspired early days by Tesla, starting to move the automotive industry towards electric, but no one really working off-road and marine. And so really saw that opportunity come. But yeah, so today, 2026, and we're still really the only ones operating in these vehicle markets on the watercraft, personal watercraft side, the snowmobile side, even on the ATV space, nothing really happening on the EV. So it's been really interesting to see the dynamic of electric cars really starting to take off, but off-road's always been lagging behind. So we're starting to make inroads. I think we've just coming up on our 2,000th delivery to a customer.
2,000 total units?
Total units delivered to a customer. So, starting to move the needle a little bit and hopefully really starting to enter that exponential growth phase with, prices coming down, ranges going up, working on this technology and adoptions, where I think we're right at that cusp where we're going to see, like we did maybe, in that 2015 era with Tesla launching the Model 3, where adoption really starts to take off.
Yeah, I was just talking to somebody who's on social media and they're upset this stuff's expensive. It's you don't realize how tiny portion of this segment we are. And you probably know the numbers in the PWC market, but in boats, it's going to be 0.1% are going to be electric this year. Do you know that number for the jet ski market?
Yeah, well, total jet ski market every year is about 120, 130,000 units sold per year. So yeah, we're sub 1%, 0.5% of the market right now. There's a huge room to grow. And we're just in those early stages. And I think, part of it's just hanging in there, pushing through the growing pains. Building vehicles is extremely complicated, shipping them, delivering, ensuring a great customer experience.
Yeah.
So it takes a long time to build that out. And I think a lot of people forget, just how long it took automotive to get to where it was today. The technology is amazing.
15 years, give or take?
Yeah, Tesla started in 2003.
Right, before pre-roadster.
There's all this kind of foundational buildup that's required to then really start taking off. So I think we're in that time period now. Taiga's 10 years in. If you project that back to Tesla days, that'd be 2013.
Yeah.
Maybe just the start of the Model S kind of coming onto the road. So I think we're kind of getting to that stage here in the off-road space, in the marine space, where we're going to start seeing some real growth over the next years.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's right in between pioneer and early adopter, but the volume that has to happen and the scaling that has to happen, whether it's dealership, service support, supply chain, and you guys. Let's take a step back really quick. We talked about the PWC market, but you guys do electric snowmobiles also. Why not go all in on one market instead of trying to tackle two enormous markets?
That's a great question. I think we're probably going to do the opposite. We're going to go into more markets in the next few years. Really, the challenge with vehicle manufacturing in any of the categories is it's really only viable at a substantial volume. There's a lot of capital investments required There's a huge, staffing requirements from engineering all the way through the operations, the sales, distribution, after sales, to ensure that, the vehicles are amazing, the customer experience is amazing, from, getting the vehicle to owning it over the next 5 to 10 years and setting that up at a global level.
Yeah, that after sales support.
Oh, yeah. And on an automotive side, if you look at a company like, like Rivian, kind of a more recent upstart, you can just like really focus in on more one product. The automotive industry is huge, millions of cars sold every year. So you can get the scale in a relatively niche category. The power sport market, marine market, a lot smaller in volume. So you do need to, get into more categories, have a bigger global presence, to have the volume that's necessary to get the attractive price points that people are looking for. Because ultimately, people want a good value product. That's what really moves adoption. You always have the really early adopters that are willing to go very premium, spend any dollar to go electric. But if you really want to shift it and accelerate adoption, you need something that's quite competitive against gas models. And the only way to get there is volume. They're selling 50,000 plus gas jet skis a year.
Yeah,
so
easy.
You need to be in the multiple thousands, and that takes big investments. It takes really long development roadmaps on engineering, on supply chain.
Every bit of it.
Every bit of it. So that's, I think, what's unique about Taiga. When we started the company day one, I think we didn't really know what we were getting into. Knowing it now, I'm not sure we would do the same thing.
Yeah.
It was like, we made this bet that we wanted to focus first on the fundamentals. So a bit taking a page out of Tesla's playbook, like we're going to do a clean sheet design. We're going to kind of create this technology that doesn't exist. We're going to invest heavily on everything. So the electric motors, the batteries, the PC.
Like full vertical integration.
PCs, fully vertical integration from design to owning the supply chain and the vehicle assembly all the way to delivering the vehicle. And what that allows is to really optimize everything together. You don't have to compromise on buying different off-the-shelf components.
Yeah, trying to make it work with like this Frankenstein setup.
Yeah, because we looked at it. We had no capital starting out. We were straight out of university, flat broke.
Yeah.
Actually just eating ramen.
Yeah, I've heard the stories,
we had night jobs working to kind of fund Taiga at the beginning.
Jeez.
So it's kind of a crazy idea to say, hey, we're going to go into one of the most capital-intensive businesses there are, with kind of $0 to our name, and take this really hard path, because it's relatively easy to go build a few conversion builds of a car,
one-off
a few
stuff.
conversion builds. You can get some good price points on there. They cost a bunch, but people are willing to pay that. And there's some really great businesses that operate locally on conversions for people that are looking to do that. But we really want to have a impact at a higher volume and to really try and start accelerating that transition to more sustainable transport. And the only way to do that was to play that longer game.
Yeah, bet big.
Really bet big and say, hey, we're going to work through all these challenges. We're going to kind of reinvent the electric models in the power sport vehicle. We started with snowmobiles just because it was a bit close to home for us. Growing up in Canada and Quebec, snowmobiling, big part of the culture there. Winter sports, we grew up skiing, we grew up snowmobiling.
Yeah, everybody was into it.
Yeah, everyone was into it. And we actually were making a tough call initially between kind of, do we do snowmobile, do we watercraft, do ATVs, which kind of platform we went into.
Yeah, interesting.
But because we were so focused on the core technological building blocks, the snowmobile is actually, we believe, the hardest thing to electrify in the world, because it requires just really compact, you got to fit a lot into a very small platform. It operates at very cold temperatures.
The worst temperatures,
just, minus 40 degrees. And it requires really high power to weight ratio, which is a challenge. EVs are very fast to accelerate, but they're also very heavy.
Yeah.
That doesn't work so much in the power sport space, because you need to be able to maneuver these in challenging terrains and use your own body weight to maneuver the vehicle.
Not to mention like soft snow or the density of water and like plowing and what that takes. So people don't realize that. Like cars coast. It's so much easier in terms of energy consumption.
Oh, the difference is tremendous. And then also how they're used. If you think of watercraft, has maybe one of the worst G-load use cases of any vehicle in the world, because everything else has suspension, which really kind of soaks up all your vibrations.
Yeah.
Whereas boats, and especially personal watercraft, just kind of smacking the water and
nonstop the whole time.
Oh yeah, you can see kind of regular G loading up to 20, 40 Gs on components.
God.
These aren't like peak G loads in accident. This is like
consistent.
every wave you hit in the ocean is having that. It's coming through the vehicle. So it's these really harsh development. So it's interesting about the snowmobile first, and then the watercraft. Like, hey, if we can figure these platforms out.
Just tackle the hardest stuff first.
Yeah, because then we can scale. Because if you do it the other way around, like we'll do the easy thing first. You make all these big investments. It's 5-year roadmaps to develop some of these new parts, and if you're developing an electric motor from scratch, and bring it to production and investing in the tooling to produce these at high volume and low cost, you don't want to do that twice.
Yeah,
so
that's for sure.
So you really want to do it for these really difficult applications, and then, and looking ahead in Taiga's future, we are planning to build electric side by sides and enable some other major.
That's like next 5 to 10 years?
Yeah, shorter than that.
Wow, that is so exciting, man. Because there's not much out there of scale, right?
No, exactly. And that's only really possible because we've invested so heavily in this technology. Now we can start kind of really more rapidly going to different product categories where we're very confident we can achieve the performance and reliability because they're much easier.
Yeah, it's easier after that.
The snowmobile and the watercraft. And then the other angle of it was day one when we were starting Taiga, because what we really wanted was to have cost-effective options for customers to have, a real choice. Did they want to go electric and at scale, not just the super wealthy ones, but kind of distributed across the industry for commercial applications. And so we had kind of been wondering, do we want to just build the powertrains first, or
just supply everybody else, the BRP of the world, and just be a powertrain manufacturer?
Just be a powertrain, like
that would have been easier.
And that was from day one. Investors like, why are you doing? Why? Are you
you're
doing
competing
everything?
with some of the most well-funded companies in the world.
Yeah, billions of dollars. And the answer was honestly because these other companies aren't ready to go electric yet. It's Tesla faced that early on as well.
Yeah, the dealerships, most of them were terrible at selling EVs. Like you saw the secret shoppers that went out there almost to every EV menu or any OEM, and like the salesmen weren't that good. They didn't know the product. Their heart wasn't in it, and like that's why Tesla didn't go with dealerships. And it's interesting because like that's one of the biggest hurdles is that execution. And I remember I was trying to buy my Ford Lightning, went into 2 different Ford dealers. Oh, you don't want that. The hybrid's a lot better. It's like, I already made up my mind and I want this, and you're pushing me away.
Yeah.
But like that's probably what you'd experience at other gas dealerships.
It is. It's hard to shift an industry. It takes a while to change that mentality, and especially even starting at the manufacturer level. One of the reasons why these companies, that have built jet skis and snowmobiles and ATVs and motorcycles for years have great products is that their executives and everyone in the company are super passionate about it. They ride the product. They grew up riding the product. But it's one of those things where it's really hard to change an industry from the inside when you grew up in it.
Yeah,
because,
they have to want it.
They grew up, and for them, the noise and the smell of 2-stroke gasoline
the cold start,
is really what they love. Is part of what they love because they're so used to it. So they don't see how other people, might not like a jet ski just ripping around and making noise in front of their dock. For them, that was part of their childhood.
Yeah.
But for a lot of other people, especially today,
it's a nuisance.
Modern cars, you go up to your country house, you want to relax, you're on the dock, you're on the beach, you paid for your vacation, and then this thing is just ripping around, making noise in front of you.
Yeah.
That's, for most people, that's not a pleasant experience.
That's it. And it's majority of people. And it's like we get in front of millions of people a month with social media. And it's like, oh, everyone loves a loud roaring engine. It's like, that's why modern gas outboards are so quiet these days. Like, wouldn't they make them louder if the majority of people wanted that? Like, no, you're wrong. Like, there's a segment that enjoys it, and there's a time and place for it, but it's not every day on the water. That's just what it comes down to.
No, it's just, exactly. It's a bit the same thing with cars, right? Like, a really nice, if you go to an F1 race, it's really cool to hear that roar of the engine, or a NASCAR race going down the track. You wouldn't want that going down your street every day.
Yeah, I've been there. I had a 5.0 Mustang with straight pipes. I had a Z28 Camaro with straight pipes. I thought it was so cool, but like you take that on a road trip or a half an hour of just like constant droning. I mean, I had a F250 with 38s on it, mud boggers, and like they were super swamper tires, and it was just, you couldn't even hear the radio. It was just so loud. You thought it was cool, and the idea was cool, but like the everyday usage, and like that's what we try and tell people. like most of the people that are buying these, they're keeping them in a marina slip, they're keeping them in their backyard, and they're ripping them on them like a couple days a week, a few hour, hour or two at a time. They're not making a 12-hour day out of it. It's such a tiny segment of the market, and those guys are usually the most vocal. But like when you talk to people about their actual usage, or you talk to rental operators, their average rental is 45 minutes. There's people that book an hour or two, and they bring it back early, because an hour on a jet ski of aggressive riding, like that is going to wear the average person out, unless you're that endurance rider that's going Miami to Bahamas, or you're going to Catalina from California. Like the average person is worn out at 45 minutes of aggressive riding. Like I don't care who you are, put an average person on there, they're gonna be smoked at an hour. It's it.
Yeah, it's a solid workout if you're ripping, especially in the waves. It's it's quite substantial.
Yeah.
Exactly.
No, I was out. We just got the WX3s, by the way. Like extended seat, bigger platform, more room for accessories on the back. It was so funny. I never realized how helpful mirrors were. We have a lot of people that love the mirrors, but I had them out, and I had my daughter out. She's like state level gymnast, 11 years old, 6-pack. She's ripped. And it was right around 40, 50 minutes. She's like, "Hey, Dad, are we almost done?" And like, I don't go to the gym. Like, I'm not. I look like I'm in shape, but I'm not. Like, I don't go to the gym. I'm not in shape. And we were out there, and it was the 45-minute mark, and I'm sore. My legs are sore. I'm squatting the whole time. She's like, "Are we almost done?" I'm like, "Why? What's wrong?" She's like, I'm getting kind of tired. I'm like, yes, like, thank goodness. Pulled back up on the beach, handed the keys to the next person. But like, we were worn out. And then the next day, like, I felt like I got hit by a bus.
Yeah,
I was
you're
so
pretty sore. People
Right.
don't realize how big a workout it is when you're out on these machines,
That's
out in the waves.
man.
Yeah.
It reminds me of the first time I go snowboarding every season. It's like, oh, this is what those muscles feel like that I hardly use, you know?
Which is why I kind of really love jet ski riding and snowmobiling as well. It's really a power sport, you're out there, but you're still using your muscles, you're using your body, you're interacting with a machine. And that's what I really love about, I think, and a lot of the people at Taiga. It's a really interesting blend of engineering and also kind of like human design. And you're designing for this, you can't just optimize only with more traditional, pure kind of computer algorithms. You're really going, there's like this human element, because it's about the fun factor.
Yeah.
And it's like, what's that feedback loop with the rider and the machine? Whereas, modern cars now are just like really optimized down to the penny for cost and aerodynamic efficiency.
So dialed in.
And it's just, there's not much human feedback in the loop. It's really
like function over fashion kind of thing.
Exactly. There's a bit of like design element on the look of it, but on the kind of rider feel, except when you get into the really more higher end sports cars, then there's more of that. But
Porsche Taycan's different than a Model 3.
Yeah, exactly. But then on these vehicles, it's really interesting because it's, half of it is that. And that's what we really tried to do with the Orca, which is a bit unique in the watercraft world, is how can we get the efficiency that people are looking for with, the battery and the cost, but also how can you just make it so much fun to drive? Because modern jet skis have lost some of that. Mm-hmm. They used to be smaller, they used to be more nimble, lower cost.
Yeah, that agile,
Yeah, now they become borderline boats. You're just kind of cruising around. So we wanted something that'd be really stable, versatile, but also really just kind of fun to drive. And I think we really nailed it with the WX3.
Yeah, it's funny. We just had him out. We just had him at a Lake Anna event. We got like the first one in the country, I think, and we had it out on a demo event. And this guy, he rolls up in a Lucid, and he goes out, and he was like hyped for it. He was excited. He comes back. I was like, "How was it, man?" He was like, "It was okay." And I had my camera out. I'm like, "Excuse me?" And he's like, "Yeah." He's like, "I'm kind of an EV guy. I was expecting more torque. I've had a few." And I was like, "You were in wild mode?" And he says, "There's a wild mode?" I'm like, "Go back out, turn it around." And then like I get him. He came back in. I was like, "Dude, how was it?" He was like, "Dude." He's like, "We need to start in wild mode." I was like, "That's too much for a lot of people, though. It's a lot." But like, every employee, when we go out and it's like their first time on the ride, I was like, "Hey, you're gonna put it in wild mode, and you're just gonna nail it. You're not gonna spend the whole time in that mode, and you're not gonna be doing 55 miles an hour the entire trip. But like that launch, that visceral feel, and like that's a custom. Everyone with an EV is accustomed to that. Doesn't matter if you've got a Rivian, a Lightning, or a Tesla. That low end torque is just fun. The launch is just, you feel it. It doesn't matter the noise, because the torque puts a smile on your face.
Oh yeah, it's amazing, the kind of that launch acceleration, and then the lack of noise too. It's a totally different feeling. It kind of really hits you. You just got the wind, you got the waves, and then when you let go, totally silent.
Yeah, I love it, man. It's I was talking to my my tech Bob, and he was mentioning like some of the software updates, and it's like it blows me away. Some of the, I don't know, the boating world and the jet ski world is just antiquated, and like to have a mobile app and to be able to lock your kid in a lower mode, and it's like, hey, this is my 16-year-old. They don't need to do 55 miles an hour, but like you guys come out and like, I don't know. We had some skis. We got some like last minute inventory from last year, and they were only a few months old, but they were due for a software update again. And it's like the skis keep getting better. And like, is there anybody else in the PWC world that's doing that?
No, not even close. In kind of the whole power sport world, they don't have that connectivity.
Right, the vertical integration of it.
Yeah, if you buy, a gas jet ski, in a few years, it's really outdated because, the software is just not getting. Whereas I think it's really interesting what we're trying to do is a lot of the improvements are more on the software side, and it's not just, apps and features, but we're doing core improvements on just, you get some better range year over year on how we're optimizing the battery.
Wow.
Better motor control algorithms, unlocking some more power even.
It's huge. It's like, hey, we can push it a little bit more here,
exactly.
thermal
So
management.
Getting more and more data, we're analyzing that data, we're testing different algorithms, and we're able to continue improving people's vehicles that they bought several years ago. So that, value really carries forward. And I think that's something that's really interesting about electric as well, that you just don't get on the gas side. Yeah,
and it doesn't matter if it's like cars or boats or PWCs. Like it's this item you buy, but it continues to get better. It's not bored. It's not stale. And then, like I saw the feature that's come in for commercial operators and like geofencing. Like that is one of the coolest things, and like because that is one of the biggest struggles of these guys. And they can put trackers in there and like the gas skis and stuff, but to be able to do it from an app. Like, it's not going to get any easier than that.
Yeah, exactly. We're really excited about some of the features that are coming on geofencing. Part of, the power sports world and why the industry shrunk a lot is because it's not just the noise, it's also the safety aspect. Is
huge. Insurance, liability.
Exactly. There's a lot of accidents on jet skis because people don't respect the speed zones. They get too close to the beach.
Yeah.
It's easy to lose track of where you are on, when you're moving fast in the water. So I think this is going to be pretty big game changer for making sure that people can keep operating in some of these areas with geofencing, because then you can really limit, hey, around the beach,
right?
You can't get too close, and it just kind of locks you out from getting too close to the beach or getting too close to any shoreline, and you can really kind of restrict speed limits depending on who's using it, new, beginner, kind of more advanced rider.
That's so it, like really, a repeat visitor, you trust them, you can give them a little bit bigger buffer. It's interesting. It's like we were in the rental space for a while. We got really tapped into the rental like operation world. And like the insurance is such one of the biggest pain points in the entire water sports in terms of rentals. But like some of these smaller operators, it's almost becoming cost prohibitive, and that's because of the accidents. But like if you could put a buffer around that zone, and it's like, yeah, making a noise is one thing, but if that ski cuts down to 5 miles an hour within 100 feet of a shoreline or where the sandbar is, like now you can guarantee from your insurance that they're not going to hit any like people swimming in the water on the shoreline. Like that's a big deal.
It's a huge deal. It's a huge deal also for kind of licensing rights for some of these like local businesses that operate these tours, because then you're getting locked out.
Huge.
Because no one wants them close to the beach, so you can really restrict their zones. And even as a private rider, if you got a younger kid riding, you can lock them into a bubble.
Oh, that's
like,
exciting.
Hey, like you can just stay within this really artificial fence that you can draw on a map, and you got to stay here. If you have some known obstacles, you can geofence them out.
And then you can change that as they get better or more experienced or older, and it's so cool, man. But like in terms of tech, man, one of the big the most exciting things, and like I feel like not enough people know about it, but like the V2G or vehicle to home side of things, like those are my most successful reels on social media. And it's just like, hey, one of these equals 2 Tesla Powerwalls, like 24 kilowatt hours, 27 kilowatt hours. And they're like, yeah, but it can't like back up your house. Like, no, it can. Like the average home with zero rationing uses 25 kilowatt hours a day. Yeah. That is a ski. So like, God forbid you lose power, your pair of jet skis can power your home for a weekend.
Yeah.
I think we both need to get a word out there better about how viable this is, and it's real. It's not software coming soon. It is available right now with the bidirectional charger. It's a big deal, man.
Yeah, we just launched the V2G last year. So these are the first products on the market that we have, the new jet skis. that have it enabled out of the factory. And yeah, it's in its infancy, but there's huge potential because you can back up your home. You can also sell back to the grid, which is what's really interesting about these vehicles, because a lot of people are worried about the lifespan of the batteries, and you hear a lot about it for cars because people will drive cars, up to 1 million miles maybe in its lifespan. But if you think of a jet ski, typically people will do 10, 20,000 miles at most.
Right. In a lifetime.
In a lifetime of the model. So there's a huge amount of buffer left in the back. Our battery can easily go, 50,000 plus miles of equivalent cycling with very minimal degradation.
Right. So it's not a daily driver.
No, exactly. So you could do, multiple lifetimes on one battery. But what that opens up is that you can then use this to sell back energy to grid, because you're not even going to deplete your battery. You could just be doing this.
Peak demand time. Yeah.
Peak demand. And for most people, it sits unused for a large part of the year. So now imagine you can be going and riding your jet ski when you want. Peak demand times, you're probably not riding your jet ski during peak demand hours. You're probably eating supper.
Right. Or, 5 to 7 p.m. when the biggest load is. And that stuff is calculated. It's known ahead of time. And the other side of it is, if you want to take it, you just use it. It's just not going to pull from your battery.
No, exactly. So you might just not get revenue that day from the grid. But you can plug this thing in, not be worried about battery degradation as much as you would on a car. And having an amazing watercraft to go out and ride on when you want. And I think we're seeing now with increasing energy costs, people are making some serious money on the V2G side.
It's a big deal. And what some of the cool applications I've come across, there's a guy in Panama that owns one of your units, and he is on an off-grid island. And his Taiga is part of his battery bank that he uses for his house. And you guys are the only one right now that has it implemented, whether it's V2G or V2Home. And I'm telling everybody in the water sports space, just tackle V2H right now. I don't need vehicle to grid. That's cool, but we'll deal with that later. But to be able to back up your house, it's I can sell some of these. And we have people that buy these skis, and it'll be the grandparents that don't plan on using them. But 5 times a year when family comes to visit, they're great. But he had already budgeted 30, 40 grand for a home battery backup system.
Yeah.
And it's here is 4 Tesla Powerwalls, keep them on the dock, you could get a floating dock, and they're there anytime you need them. And he's in an area that loses power all the time because of the trees and storms. But now you have a peace of mind. So it's the second use case that is perfect for this application.
Yeah, and if you push that concept further for some of these bigger fleet operators, like on the snowmobile side or on the jet ski side in more northern hemisphere, they really get used 3 months of the year. But then the next 9 months, they're just sitting in a garage. But there's some tour operators or big commercial fleets on the snowmobile side that have upwards of 100 machines. So then you're looking at 2 megawatt hours.
That's worth so much money.
3 megawatt hours. You'd be looking at millions of dollars of battery bank capacity if you want to plug that into your grid.
Yeah.
So now and summer is the peak season with AC load. So now you can take these.
Because they're not getting used all summer long.
On the snowmobile side, or vice versa on the watercraft side, you can plug in this really massive fleet, and all of a sudden you got this multi-million-dollar mobile
microgrid.
Yeah, exactly.
That's crazy.
So that's something we're starting to work on with a few of these fleet providers and some grid providers to see how can we kind of mobilize that, because there's these assets that go sitting unused for most of the year.
Huge. And it's there's so many pieces to that puzzle. It's whether it's a marina or whatever that the landowner is, there's always a gatekeeper there. But we own a marina and that we're working on redeveloping, but getting the ownership on board, the municipality on board, some kind of platform. There's a company, Blue Grid Energy, I'll give them a shout out, that helps manage that. We're in conversation with them and to handle all those credits and the flow of all that power and what it's worth at those peak demands. But there's peak demand times here in Virginia where a megawatt of power is worth, I think it was $4,000. And it happens a few times a year. I've got, 2 megawatts sitting in my park in the lot. But imagine a marina that had, a dozen jet skis and a couple dozen boats. It's you could support a small city with that much power. It is huge. And but that's what's coming. That's not far away, man. It's interesting. We're talking about charging here, and I love explaining you guys. And it's you went through the restructuring, which by the way was one of the best restructurings ever. We've unfortunately dealt with a couple. And sometimes when there's a restructuring that happens, it's not good times. Nobody wants to do it. But sometimes we're just ghosted and there's no support. But you guys, you had a skeleton crew. You kept supporting vessels. We were still getting parts. And people didn't lose faith because of that. And there's people that are buying a WX3 and trading in their P2 because of that. They know the company's going to be there. But anyway, through the restructuring, we've made it to a point where now you guys are this conglomerate with Evoy, with Vita, with Aqua Superpower, and like I see what you guys are doing and like the cross-pollination of everything in that space, whether it's the powertrain side or the charging stuff, like Aqua. I mean, they're going to be like the Tesla infrastructure years from now because they're the only ones hitting it hard on the water. Like, what can you share about that side of things?
Yeah, it's been really exciting. They kind of come together as a group of companies, starting to find synergies, working together on different projects, and especially with Aqua, we're working together on different charging. I think going back to the Vita G side, right? Like, how do you go beyond just a vehicle, just a charger, more this whole energy management,
that ecosystem
infrastructure? Exactly. So, part of the ownership experience in EV charging is a key to that. You want an easily kind of seamless charging experience. It's been great working with Aqua because they have some great expertise on the charging side from level 2 all the way up some pretty big DC fast charging installations on the water. So it opens up opportunities a lot faster to work with not just day-to-day customers, but also kind of larger marina providers or larger fleet providers. How do we accelerate adoption, and charging is a key piece of that.
Yeah, that's so exciting, man. I haven't actually gotten any Aqua units installed. I've tried, and it's like the irony that I always mention to people. Like, I used to do this for Tesla and go door to door to shopping centers, airports, all of this stuff to try and get them to install free level 2 chargers. And like, it's a case by case, for every location, depending on how prime it is or how, if they've got a nice restaurant on site and everything. But like a lot of the times they can get it installed for like no money out of their pocket. It's crazy. And it's like, and sometimes there's a rental operator that wants to operate there. But these marina owners, or it's red tape with a city-owned marina, and like I don't even approach them because I know there's going to be red tape. But like these people are so short-sighted, and like the red tape involved in it. Like I've worked on some projects for 9 months just to be told no, just because they want to keep an eye on the technology. But like you guys are building these, we're selling them, they're getting delivered, and like I love touching on some of the early units you guys delivered, because we have some customers that you and I delivered 2-3 years ago. They've had no maintenance, no repairs. Like their maintenance consists of hosing it off. And like if it's a lake without salt water getting in, there's not a lot of hosing off you have to do. But like there's not wearing components to this stuff, and it's amazing. We get excited when we do repairs on these things because we don't get them that often. But it'll be like, oh, someone sucked something up and damaged something, or I think we have a Nomad that got into an accident, and like we've never got to work on one. And like we have them in our area. Snowshoe has them for their ski patrol, and it's funny. I've got a buddy on their ski patrol, and he said they fight over that ski because it's so much fun. Or not ski, but Nomad. But like there's just not a lot of components to fail, and that's what like some of the worst parts of owning a jet ski is the headaches involved.
Yeah, boat ownership in general, that was the other, I think the big pushes into this industry for us were first, environmental. How can we make sure future generations can keep enjoying these great sports
without polluting the water you're trying to enjoy?
Yeah, and ironically with the snowmobile, to still have a winter.
Oh God, right. That's impacting a lot of ski resorts.
And it's hugely impacting the economy on the winter tourism side.
Huge.
So, the faster we can do a little piece to accelerate that, the better. But the other angle was also, the ownership experience. Because, you buy these machines because you want to go out and have fun with friends and family. And you don't want to be in the garage. You don't want to be wrenching on these things. But the reality is on the gas side, they're almost always breaking down. Even the modern ones, you talk to anybody, and a lot of them have missed a summer here or there because something broke down. They're having to do oil changes. There's a part missing.
And sometimes it's not even maintenance related. It's like, oh, we didn't drain the fuel or put stabilizer in, and like the ethanol ate the fuel lines away, or there's a lot that's like self-induced that's not related to reliability. It's just like, oh, they got bad gas, or they had water in it, and it's funny. We've been ordering these pontoons, and they come with gas tanks, and I've been selling them to people, and they get so excited because it's a cheap gas tank, and it's like, oh, they're like, yeah, my last one is either rusted or coming apart. I have to polish it, and they're like, wait, you have electric boats, and so it's becoming like lead generation for us. But like, there's a lot of those headaches that are just. That ownership is accustomed to. And, I haven't pulled the numbers recently. We're going to do another round of surveys for our buyer or for our owners. But like before, I think we pulled the numbers a year and a half ago, 65% of our buyers were first-time powerboat and jet ski owners. And now, like, that number's probably even higher. But these people, it's not like we're competing against gas. These people weren't even considering buying these units other than it because it's electric, which is super exciting.
Yeah, I mean, what's really interesting there is that the market for, in the power sports side, especially on the PWC and the snowmobile, they follow similar trends. It used to be much bigger than it is today. So it's kind of back to your early points. Always funny to see the guys kind of, back in my day, things were just better. It was, but then why did the market, it shrunk by almost 50%. It used to be around 300,000 a year.
Wow. It got less for a reason.
Now it got less because there was a lot of media that came out and people kind of had a bit of a revolt around the two strokes.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Which were the super loud things on the lake. They smell terrible. They pollute the water.
Nuisance.
Just dumping oil.
You just see the sheen behind them.
Yeah, that exactly. And people always, the two strokes are so great, but people stopped buying them. They didn't get regulated out. People just stopped buying them.
Yeah.
And
it's like manual and automatic transmissions.
They're still there on the snowmobile, but it's just exactly. It is like the manual.
It's a better experience.
But then it isn't on average, right?
Right.
It isn't like in some applications.
Yeah, the 60 to 80% of the market. And like we always talk about runtime when it comes to that. Oh, I need more range of that. It's like, cool, you're above average. You're that top 10%. We're not there yet. Battery tech is 5-10 years away, but like we're not saying it's gas versus electric. We're just to exist. Everyone gets so combative about this stuff.
Yeah, exactly. No, ultimately, we're trying to provide. And I think everyone, you get in it because you're passionate about it and you want people to have a great experience out in the water, out in the snow, out on the trails. And it's not necessarily about gas versus electric. It's like giving people a solid option to choose from.
Yeah, and this might be a better experience. It might not if you have the wrong use case. But like we are brutally honest with this stuff. I have not sold more skis to people than I have sold because it's like, oh yeah, I just want to go 50, 60 miles a day. It's like, whoa. What, you like offshore fishing with this thing? We have a lighthouse and a couple of islands they go to for the tunnels, and there's guys that take their skis out there to fish. Like, hey, this isn't for you. This is too far. Come back in a little bit. And they're like, well, I just want to check it out. And it's like, cool. We have a demo event. Come check it out. And like, there's times where they'll buy it in addition to their gas ski.
Yeah.
And like, you see it with cars too.
Exactly. It's such a fun machine to drive. It's a lot more practical for most applications. And sometimes, some customers want the really long distance range. Tech's not quite there yet. It's moving fast. But then, there's an option to get both. But ultimately, the ownership experience is just so much better. One cool thing Taiga's developed on the tech side to help that was the battery drain, because actually one of the biggest nuisances on boats and snowmobiles is the same
12
thing.
volts?
It's 12 volts. If you forget to unplug your 12 volt before storing it, it's dead. And
Game over.
You got to get a new lead acid battery.
Right. It'll be like 4th of July, you're taking it out first of the season or something, and it's like, oh, it's going to ruin our boat day now.
Yeah, exactly. So we did a lot of engineering. Actually, we don't have any lead acid in our vehicle, and really kind of optimize out like quiescent current, which is what people often call a vampire drain.
Right. Yeah.
So all the like little things that pull current out of your battery. So we did a lot of engineering there. So when you store your vehicle, it can last up to 3 years.
Holy shit!
Without if it was at 100%. So you still got to store it at a nominal, but you can easily leave it a whole year.
It allows you to neglect it a little bit.
If you store it at 80%, you can go, easily up to 2 years without plugging it in. So,
that is huge.
You don't have to worry about anything. You're ready to go. You pop off the cover and you're ready to go.
That's it, man.
Next season. It's just kind of such a better experience because ultimately, you just want to be going out and having fun in the water.
That's it, man. And it's, that brings me to the next thing. Like you guys are doing this huge tour right now. And like we have spent more money in this company getting butts in boats than maybe anybody out there. And like you guys reached out to us a couple months ago and like, hey, if we're doing a summer tour, it's like, yes, like let's go. And we ramped up marketing a couple weeks ago. We've got people out there spreading the word. And like we are fully booked Sunday, and this is like Father's Day Sunday and this Monday, and they were squeezing us in between this tour. And I was like, hey, I'd rather not do it this weekend. They're like, oh, let's try it, see how it does. And like we're gonna have every slot booked, I think, and it's huge, it's exciting, but like we've got to get more people to experience this. Most people don't know they exist, let alone how fun it is to get out there. I'm so glad you guys are doing this tour.
I mean, that's number one is awareness, and then it's trying the vehicle because that's really what changes people's minds, because you could be unsure about it. We still have a lot of people, it's electric, it must be slow.
I don't know.
It must not be performant. But yeah, you'll just get on there. It's just so much fun. Even, the most hardcore gas loving, you pop into wild mode and they'll come back with a smile and they'll be like, okay, I get it.
I love it, man.
I kind of want one.
We've been doing it more at boat shows, and I'll put hardcore guys. It's like, hey, like you can take it out, but like you have to wear these, and we'll put the meta glasses on them. And there was a guy that's Annapolis. He's owned 15 skis. He flips them, he buys and sells them, and he's like, hey, he's like, I'm gonna record it, but he's like, I'm not gonna fake it. I'm like, okay, and like I see some of the content, and he's like, oh, this is cool, this is fun, and then he pulls up next to his buddy, and he's like, wait, there's a wild mode? Puts it in wild mode, rips on it. He sounds like a schoolgirl, just giggling. He just had so much fun, and he comes back, he's like, dude, I'm gonna sell a couple of my gas skis, make room for this. He's like, when you guys come back next year, like, you're bringing me a ski. I was like, dude, okay. But like, we turn skeptics into believers, and like, that you have to get people out on them.
What I love about the electric is just that, actually, with the ski, especially when you pop into wild mode, because it's quiet. You can hear people's reactions. I love that, like, kind of fun laugh that people just kind of giggling.
They can't let it, yeah, they can't control it.
Going so fast, you wouldn't really be able to hear that with an engine, but it really comes through. Sometimes just kind of zipping by. They're giggling.
Love it, man.
Like, a 6-year-old.
Right. It's like this,
amazing.
Yeah, it's natural, and like, they don't anticipate it, so they're not like trying to stay stone-faced. And I used to do it with Teslas all the time. Guys would be crapping on them at a Cars and Coffee event. It's like, hey, stop talking, jump in the car, like, let's go for a ride. I'm like, hey, put your head in your headrest. And they're like, what do you mean? And they'd be looking at me and I'd slam it in there. But it's like, getting that exposure is huge, man. Yeah. And it's like, you guys, I've seen some announcements, you guys are like, you're expanding. You got a couple dealerships in Europe now. Like, what does the future of Taiga look like, man?
Yeah, we're kind of in big expansion mode, really trying to build out the footprint in our key markets so people can, have a great delivery experience. We've had a lot of requests from around North America, but a lot of requests from Europe. So we hadn't delivered anything in Europe up until just a month ago.
Literally this year.
This year is the first year delivering the Orcas to Europe, so that's been really exciting. We've had some people on the wait list waiting for several years.
They've been just watching
every year to see what's going on in North America. I need one.
Right.
So we were finally able to get over into Europe. We have a pretty good dealer network that we're building out there. Really,
right now, that's already happening.
Mediterranean coast. We got dealers France, Spain, Italy, Portugal.
Wow.
Beautiful locations.
Oh yeah, I can imagine
on the coast there.
And I feel like they're ahead of us. Like, the conversations there are just different. And like, I've been to Cannes, I don't know, 3 years in a row now, and just talking to people there, and they just get it. Whether it's, I don't know, like, I feel like it's very politicized here, and that's one of our biggest roadblocks, and just people's behaviors tied to their politics. But people there are just like, oh yeah, I don't go very far. This is perfect. Wake up to a full charge each time. It just makes sense.
Yeah, it's been really interesting, the kind of resistance to go electric, especially in these categories, is way lower. I've often kind of wondered why their EV adoption is quite high there.
Yeah.
But there's places here like in California where EV adoption is super high, but then the power sports pushback and marine pushback is so much stronger.
Like the old guard.
Yeah, I think the thing is the old guard doesn't exist in Europe because they never really had this culture of power sports. It's relatively new, really in the past kind of 20 years where, boating and ATVs and snowmobiles and these kind of things have really started gaining a bit more traction, but no one grew up there, with the loud two strokes and having that as part. So they're just really practical,
right.
And they're like, wait, I don't want. Why would you want a loud machine?
Yeah, and maintenance.
Like who wants that?
Right.
So
and I always see that meme, and it's like, imagine if we were all driving electric and somebody announced a new gas technology.
Right.
And it's like, hey, this stuff requires constant maintenance, oil changes. You need the perfect mix of fuel to maintain this thing, or else you're causing corrosion problems, ethanol problems. It makes a lot of noise. It causes a little bit of cancer, no big deal, pollutes. But it's like, nobody would do that.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, it's funny to see it from the flip side. I think that's what's going on a bit more in Europe. So adoption is really strong on the other side of the ocean. So we're really excited to be finally getting into that market.
That's so exciting, man. Well, we need to wrap this up, man. This is, I'm going to say this has been unofficially sponsored by Wasserhund, local brewery to us. They really pulled through for our grand opening. We're sitting here enjoying some of their beers. But guys, I'm going to start hitting this podcast a lot harder. I just brought on more people to help with social media. So this is going to take priority again. Hope you enjoyed this. I need engagement for this. I need to make sure there's a reason for us putting this out there. So please share this with people. We need help getting the word out. Most people don't know electric boats exist. If you got questions, want to buy some skis or boats, electrifiedmarina.com. Thanks so much for watching this today, guys.